Welcome to Close the Door and Come Here, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast with heavy leanings towards our two favorite characters, Jaime and Brienne. Hi everyone, I'm Kama, and you can find me at Kama Splice on Blue Sky, and I'm joined by Guile.
Hi, I'm Guile, and you can find me at Guile and Subterfuge on Blue Sky.
And Clotho.
Hi, I'm Clotho, just Black Clotho Spindle on Blue Sky.
Okay, if you're joining us for the first time, we do spoil everything, books, and I don't think we have to worry about the show for this one, but, if it comes up. We will be covering Dany IV from A Dance with Dragons, and I'm just going to say trigger warnings for some general grossness. And also, my God, the pronunciations. Okay. All right, so I'm only going to say her real name once because, my God. The Green Grace, also known as, I believe it's Glaza Galare, shows up to see Dany. And she's accompanied, and I didn't clock this on my first read of the chapter, and then I went back and went, ew. She's got 12 young girls who are called White Graces, and Dany shares the information, at least internally. They're nobles. They're too young to have done their year of duty in the pleasure gardens. And then I did some digging. So basically, that's the equivalent of being called up for a year of duty in a brothel. So thanks, George.
So she's like the Ghislaine Maxwell of Essos, basically.
I think.
Yeah.
It's just everything. The Orientalism of these chapters is like, just sometimes want to scream. Okay, so the Green Grace and Dany sit down for a meal. Dany has some of her hostages. Evidently, it's not just that they're hostages. She also has them like doing servant duty because they're these children who she's very fond of who are serving the meal. And everyone seems totally okay with this. The Green Grace knows them. They chat. Everyone's okay with this. But as the conversation progresses, we get the information that things are not going real well here. There's a number of different factions who are launching nightly attacks, murdering people, doing all kinds of fun things. And one of her advisors, and I refuse to try to pronounce his name, but he goes by the Shave Pate, is annoyed with her or angry with her because his response is, well, what she needs to do is either kill or torture the hostages in her care. And Dany doesn't want to do that. I applaud not wanting to kill or torture children. But throughout this conversation, and then I guess we'll stop and talk a little bit about this, is basically the too long didn't read is there's a ton of unrest all over Essos at this point. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on this so far.
Yeah, it sounds like a total shit show. And I don't know how you guys felt, but I felt like Glaza in general was giving pretty decent advice to Dany. I don't know why she is, but I felt like she was on the level with her.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's a terrible situation, and it doesn't seem like there's any easy solutions, and Dany's kind of just been, understandably kind of just perplexed, but sort of pushing things off when things need to be done.
Well, and then the advice she gives is basically she tells Dany what you need to do is marry. And she has a bridegroom in mind, and that is Hizdahr Zolarak. I'm hoping I'm saying these right. I have no idea.
That's how I always think of it.
But basically, her argument is he has the bloodlines, and she's like, marry him, pop out a son, and everything will work out fine. And this allows Dany, I feel like there's a bunch of characters in Dance who spend a good amount of time just revisiting the things they've been told, right? With Jon, it's the kill the boy. Tyrion with his endless, where do whores go? And Dany is always like the prophecies about her, how she's got to go east to go west, and, if the prince who was all this stuff. But she is convinced she's barren, and she thinks about this. But basically, she suddenly sort of caves. She sends for him. The Green Grace leaves. And then in this very bloodless kind of discussion, Dany and Hizdahr discuss the possibility of their union. And he's like, what you have to do is let the young Kai, he said, I think we can get the young Kai to agree to let the people you freed stay free, but the young Kai have to be allowed to resume their slave trade. And she doesn't like this at all, which again is laudable. And she thinks, though, that this may be the best that they can hope for. And then again, they're sort of working out this idea of will they marry, won't they marry? She asks him to kiss her, and he does, and she feels nothing at all. And, he's like, maybe that'll, love will come or whatever. Sometimes it happens after you've been married. And she starts thinking that who she wants is Daario. And basically what she tells Hizdahr is, look, if you can see that I get 90 days of no murders, of no attacks, she seriously will consider marrying him. And he takes off. And then Barristan comes in, and he does not like this idea of this marriage at all, and suggests once again that she go to Westeros. I think he's being overly optimistic with the people cheering her return in the streets, but maybe this is not the worst idea. And there's this I hate when we get these glimpses and then we never get anything else, but there's this fascinating glimpse. He talks about that her grandfather met the ghost of High Heart, who said that if her parents were married, that the prince who was promised would be born from their line. And there's this tiny little mention of Summerhall, and then it's sort of gone.
Yeah, I thought that was. I was wondering why she didn't. I'm assuming they had talked about it before, so she kind of knew. Summerhall was the big disaster. Disaster.
Well, and just I don't know how much she knows about her parents' marriage. Like that her father was horribly abusing her mother too. I mean, if that's meant in the context of like an arranged marriage, although, I mean, Hizdahr seems fine. I know I'm totally biased towards Hizdahr because Joel Fry played him, and then he was also in Our Flag Means Death, so I love him. So I think I really just like Hizdahr because I like Joel Fry.
He doesn't read bad, though. I didn't dislike him when I was reading it. Saw the surface.
He seemed like a practical guy. I mean, when he's promising her, seems like an arranged marriage, and that's what people in their class do.
And she's jumping to like expecting like love from it, which is just like kind of, it's probably stupider than she is. Like she's not that dumb, and like I just am surprised that she's like, the whole kissing thing was so stupid. Like, Dany, what do you think? Like, were you like super jacked the first time you kissed Drogo? Probably not,
And in fact, we know she wasn't. Her recollections, after he basically, essentially rapes her when he consummates the marriage. I mean, it's interesting in this chapter because she's been doing, I have to say, comparatively well considering. I mean, it's a shit show, but it's like this is her Vietnam, and she can't figure out how the hell to get out of here. But like, I am reminded of other narratives, like there's stories, right, of like, films where like these teenagers are basically taking care of their younger siblings when the parents have disappeared. They're manning it up, they're stepping it up, they're doing all of these things. And there's a certain point where they just sort of snap and want to regress to like being the teenagers they are. And I feel like this is what's happening here. Like, he doesn't seem like the worst guy in the world, at least not in this particular conversation. He's proposing like essentially a reasonable arrangement. And while I think it's counter to her ambitions if she ever wants to get to Westeros, but I mean, it's weird that she is so suddenly focused on all she can think about is Daario. And I mean, I'm putting it down to teenage hormones because the next part of this chapter is all very much her just drooling after this guy. But I mean, I think it's like she's been doing all of this stuff and maybe she just can't anymore. And this is her, some part of her going, look, you're not supposed to be doing all this stuff. You're 16, 17 years old at this point.
And none of her marital options that we meet in this section of the book are particularly terrible, really.
Yeah.
No,
compared to the shitstorm thrown in front of Sansa on a regular basis, Dany's actually, Dany's got some decent prospects, which, she's just so stupid. She's just so stupid about this. It gets worse when you.
Yeah, from their perspective, this is also extra reasonable because they're thinking long term in Marine. And how many? If I'm forgetting, do they know? Is her whole strategy I know Barristan knows and about the Westeros thing? Do people in general know that she's going to leave for Westeros, or is she just telling people she's there for long term? Or
she says something to Hizdahr that she might leave for Westeros at some point.
I guess they kind of have an idea.
I think in some of the subsequent chapters, it's clear other people are aware of this as a possibility.
And that's weird because then I wonder where the Green Grace, for her perspective, it's if you stay here, this is what works. So I wonder what the thought process is once she leaves.
If she leaves, their problems are over. Let's say she marries Hizdahr, right?
Yeah, then he just takes over.
And if either, they separate while she goes to try to conquer Westeros, I mean, there's no downside for him.
Yeah.
There's no downside for them because they have one of their own in charge.
Yeah.
And I think they're thinking that once she's in Westeros, her attentions are going to be divided and they can go back to doing business as usual.
So they might actually be happy about it if she's leaving.
And if she stays, I think they're thinking, well, she'll be married. She'll have that the husband can sort of temper some of this stuff or maybe.
Well, and I think, best case scenario for them would be they have some kids and she leaves and the kids presumably aren't going with her. Mm-hmm. And, she's got her and Hizdahr's son is ruling Slaver's Bay and, mom is ruling Westeros. Okay, that actually
sounds like a good plan.
Pretty solid.
In my real life, I work in academia and every so often you get somebody in leadership, you get a provost or a president who nobody really likes. Not that this is mirrored by my current experience, if you're listening and you know who I am. But, in general, in academia, you get people in charge. And unless you work at a really high powered place, like a Harvard kind of situation, and I do not, a lot of these people, it's a stop along the way, right? They're going to show up, they're going to be there for 5 or so years, and then they're going to move on to the next best thing. And I think all of these people in Essos very much are hoping she's not a lifer. They're hoping that she's going to do her thing and get the fuck out of there. And whatever they can do to make that happen or to temper it is what they're trying to do.
Well, and what's the concept of divorce in Essos? Because she's going to have the same need for allies in Westeros, and I would think that, a Hizdahr would be, Hizdahr would be perfectly fine. Wait, is she married to Hizdahr? She is, isn't she?
She eventually does, not at the moment, but yeah.
So if Hizdahr was alive, and I think Hizdahr, I know he dies in the show, but I think in the books he's still alive. I sort of feel like if divorce is a thing, he'd be like, yeah, sure, no problem. Love to never see you again. A very amicable divorce, let's not bother each other. And she's open for whatever other alliances. But, that seems very reasonable, especially if they have kids. Then I think it's but I get the kids thing.
Yeah, the only thing I don't see current Dany fitting in really well in Westeros. I see them looking at her as other, as conqueror, as enemy.
That's why she would have to get married to someone in Westeros.
Right, but her showing up, I'm wondering how all this plays out. I don't know how this would all play out in Westeros, that she's got this, other, husband from Essos. But I don't think she cares.
She can't have him.
Yeah. So
I mean,
the
can
next,
you imagine her
go ahead.
rolling into Daario?
Oh my God. So let's segue into Daario. And I would like to read this description. She sends
Yeah.
for Daario, or he's there. I can't remember. So this was something else. Okay. Daario and Naharis entered swaggering. He swaggers even when he was standing still. The captain wore striped pantaloons tucked into high boots of purple leather, a white silk shirt, a vest of golden rings. His trident beard was purple, his flamboyant mustaches gold, his long curls equal parts of both. And then, just in case you missed it, in a subsequent paragraph, we are reminded that he also has a gold tooth. And this is the guy who just sets her loins afire.
He honestly sounds like the dudes that dress up at Minnesota Viking games, with their purple and gold.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I know, like, reading the descriptions is hilarious for him. And, like, again, yes, it was many years ago, but to cast just a boring, conventionally attractive actor as the recast, what a miss. How do you not want to bring this shit to life?
Because I think they were thinking like a Fabio light, even though that the Fabio kind of thing was so 20, 30 years ago. But
I mean, even, they don't have to do the hair, but, like, you're not going to dress them like that? Like, that's fun.
And it fits
Yeah.
in with the teenage rebelling, like, oh, she's into the hairband guys or the punk guys. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? She likes the flamboyant person.
He just has terrible taste. Ugh.
like, okay, so this guy shows up. They start bantering, and like everyone else in this chapter and most of her chapters, everyone has ideas of what she should be doing. It's got to be exhausting being her, frankly. But his sort of, again, too long didn't read concept is he thinks, what he proposes is, let me behead your enemies for you, and I will make a pile of their heads as tall as the pyramid. And she has enough sense to know that this is not really a great idea. And then his next suggestion is, sure, announce that you're going to marry Hizdahr, invite everyone over, and while he doesn't reference the red wedding, that's his idea. I'll kill all the people. And they start fighting and quarreling, and she kicks him out, and she tells Barristan she never wants to see him again. And then, so the chapter ends, and this is the other part. I start, again, the Orientalism, the exoticism of this whole situation gets kind of gross. Like, she sends for Eerie to start, like, pleasuring her, because all she can do is think of Daario, and that doesn't work. And then she's like, what have I done? Again, I'm reading here. She thought, huddled in her empty bed. I have waited so long for him to come back, and I send him away. He would make a monster of me, she whispered, a butcher queen. But then she thought of Drogon far away and the dragons in the pit. There's blood on my hands and on my heart. We are not so different, Daario and I. We are both monsters.
I mean, no. Like, I don't even understand how she can be thinking that. Like, I know she has guilt over the dragons, but I mean, there's an intention that Daario has that she does not.
It's not like she's setting Drogon on fields of small children going, eat them all. He's talking about, let's go out and kill a bunch of people.
Right.
They're very different things.
Like, I mean, again, like, I kind of, like, who do you guys agree with in this whole situation she's in?
I honestly think, I don't remember I'm probably contradicting myself because I never remember what I said, recording date to recording date. But I think at this point, she needs to get the hell out of there.
That's how I feel too. Like, I think and it doesn't necessarily have to be to Westeros. I mean, I know that they don't know about all the scheming and shit that Illyrio and stuff is doing, but just, like, as we find out through subsequent chapters, I mean, everywhere in Essos sucks. So, like, there's a certain aspect of, like, well, I gave it a shot, but it didn't work, so let them, I don't know, that's so brutal, but Like
if there was progress, I could see staying and trying this, learning how to rule a business. But it is literally her Vietnam. Every time she makes a decision, it seems to backfire. There's all of these things going on. It's not just limited to one part of us. I mean, it's just everything she touches in Essos, it just all seems, for everything she does that's positive, there seem to be drastic consequences against this. And I'm like, I don't see a clear path out. And the only clear path to solve it, I mean, the way to get out of here is to leave. And it's not like when she was in the second book or the first book where she needed to get ships, right? She's got the ability. They'll give her a fleet if she would just get the hell out. You know?
Right. She could probably convince somebody.
And I mean, she's got an army. I mean, go. This is the time to go. Take your dragons, take your ships, and get the hell out of there.
That's, that would be brave to do that, because it's got to be scary to that. I feel like the pyramid is the ultimate, like, it's a physical representation of how detached she is. She's at the top of this pyramid, and out of all the places she's been, I know they do the court and they get people coming in. It still feels like she's the most isolated and separated from what's going on in the world. Like, she's so far away from it and she can't figure out a way to get out. And it's scary to get out, because getting out means she might not have anything. I mean, that's a potential. She may imagine all these things happening, but they might not come to pass. So she'd be giving up everything that she has there. Yeah, I would agree with Barristan at this point, but I don't know if,
I don't think it's an easy path forward. I very much doubt at this point anyone in Westeros is going to be cheering for her.
No.
But she does have allies in Dorne and whatnot, and she could get a base together, and then, we know that Westeros is also falling apart, and like there is a path forward. But it's like, I think she seems to be like just sort of sunk. It's almost like Caesar or Mark Antony and Cleopatra, like he's stuck in Egypt and he can't figure out how it's just not going well.
It's interesting because she leaves now, let's say, Kevin's still alive. Like, Aegon is still unrevealed. Like, it's early enough that, like, a lot of this shit that's going to fuck her up eventually wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Like, she's ahead of it. Like you said, I think, like, Dorne is a much more real possible ally than it will end up being. Like, the second Arianne marries Aegon, Dorne is closed,
Yeah. And, like, if they can find Quentin, and I know that's not really going to happen, but I mean, like, there you go. There is a much more reasonable husband for Westeros. Yeah. Maybe not for Dany, but, like, there are options. And even if she decides not to align herself or marry right away, I mean, I think there's a base for her. And we know that we know that the Riverlands is a mess. We know that the North has a lot of issues. There's a lot of, she's not going into like a Robert Baratheon, pre-Ned Stark kind of King's, Westeros. She's going into a mess, and there's potential for her to take over, get settled, reclaim her whatever, in a way that I don't think there's anything left for her in Essos, and we know that it's just going to get worse.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a Barristan fan by any means, but I think the old man got the right of it.
Yeah. Do we have any mail for this one?
Yes, we have Buck O'Hare from Discord says, what do you make of George's writing of horny Dany? What would you do differently? Which we touched a little bit on that, but I mean, for me personally, the fact that she at the end sends him away, it didn't bother me as much as I thought it. Well, maybe it's a little long, but I mean, it seemed like, okay, this is explaining, as we were describing, maybe her teenage angst feelings and things, and wanting things to be different, or wanting just to do things a little more dangerous. But I like the fact that she rejected or sent him away at the end, that she didn't sort of give in to that. But yeah, I mean, it's as usual.
First of all, she could use Daario. She could sleep with Daario. Not really any consequences there. If that's not feasible, she can find another guy. She's willing to sleep with her, basically Erie or whoever her name is, her handmaid in there. She's got other avenues open to her to deal with these kinds of feelings. Kind of like Rob didn't need to marry Jane. People have these kinds of relationships and they don't have to become, that complicated. But again, I think she's been doing, I got to tell you, the last couple books, I found myself defending Dany and it always boggles my mind. I think she's doing reasonably well, but this is where things just start going real south.
Yeah, I think, it's too bad. Like, she is equating, like, sex with love a little bit. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's too bad that she can't just sleep with Daario and just not listen to him. Because that seems to be what she needs to do. Like, she doesn't need to take his advice. She doesn't have to actually care at all about it. Like,
yeah.
If you want to have sex with them, have sex with them. Like, have some fun. Like, but yeah, by all means, don't give him any, like, power of advice. Because, he seems like a dumbass. But I mean, I don't think she's unrealistically horny. Like, I actually am like, yeah, she's an idiot. But, so are we all.
Yeah.
And we have one more piece of mail from I Dream of Spring, also from Discord. Does anyone else get really sleazy vibes from Daario? He's just so icky with the way he fondles the naked women carved on the sword handles. What on earth does Dany see in him? Is he really just that hot?
I mean, clearly he can't be just that hot because he sounds horrible, but right? Like, I mean, totally sleazy. I'm trying to think of, like, I guess that's the only unrealistic thing, because I feel like actual teenage girl crushes, like, I feel like maybe, like, at least when I was a teenager, like, definitely more like the clean-cut good boy type, I guess, like, in terms of, like, a celebrity crush or something, like, when you think of, like, who the teen stars are, they're always, like, sort of like, the least sexy people imaginable. And, like, yeah.
Is he, like, the equivalent of, like, a heavy metal musician?
Oh, maybe.
Like,
bad boy
like,
vibes, maybe.
Like, he would have totally fit in Kiss, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like somebody like that, and she's just drawn. That's her type. She's drawn to,
And I mean, Drogo wasn't not flamboyant, so maybe she does just really like a flamboyant dude.
And I mean, she's living in this very exoticized continent. Like, everywhere she's gone, none of these people are known for their subtlety in dress or manner. At least not the way George portrays them. So, maybe that's just what she finds attractive. I look at him and I go, yeah, bad boy, crush, infatuation, but, not marriage material. But, that's me. All right. Any parting thoughts on this one?
No, not for me. I think it's kind of,
Well, we do have some, I think we've mentioned it before, but we will be in anticipation of the HBO Max Night of the Seven Kingdoms series. We will be revisiting the Dunk and Egg novellas. So look for the call for questions for those. I'm very excited to get away from Dance, frankly, and into those again. But if you would like to tell us if you find Daario hot or not, or anything else, you can send us a message by going to closethedoorand.comehere.tumblr.com. You can email us at closethedoorand@gmail.com. You can also message us at closethedoorand Blue Sky. Please do like and review us wherever you listen, as it helps new people find the podcast. We would like to thank our Patreons because they keep us the lights on for us. If you'd like to become one of those, you can do that by going to patreon.com/closethedoor. And with that, closing the door. Get out.